Hi, I'm Leanna with TiPb.com, and I'm going to run the iPhone 4S through some video tests. So right now I'm actually using the front-facing camera, if you couldn't tell, and this is actually an interesting spot where I'm standing because I am in the shade, but behind me is really bright sun. And I did not tell the iPhone where to expose, and it very smartly chose to expose for me, and that's why the background is kind of blown out. So, but let's go ahead and test out the really cool camera, which is the 1080p rear camera. So, yeah. Okay, so here is the rear-facing camera. I am actually in my front yard right now, which is using some highly lit places from sunlight and a lot of shade. And I'm also going to come and stand over here where the sun is actually in the lens. As you can see, we're getting some lens flare here, but it's actually not too bad. There will be examples later on in the video where you will see more lens flare. And I'm also moving the camera around, obviously, and so this is actually also being a demonstration of video stabilization. Again, we will do some more intense testing on that later. Okay, now I'm standing out in the street, and what's interesting here is we've got a really bright day. So right now, I am in the shade, and the iPhone 4S has properly exposed the camera to handle the shade so that it looks good. But now as I go into the brightly lit sun and really harsh lighting, the camera is now adjusting for that lighting so that it's not blown out. So the street was blown out and now it's fixed it so that it looks good in the sun. And we're coming back into some shade. And back into some sun. Right, here's an example of the video stabilization. I am walking backwards as my daughter runs towards me. So, there we go. Okay, we saw some video stabilization of me walking backwards with my daughter. Well, let's make it even more intense, and I'm going to go running down the street right now, and let's see how well the iPhone 4S handles that.
You're gonna run? Are you running?
Okay, so this is now an example of a poorly lit environment. I am indoors with just one light on, and it's not even a very good light. Please ignore the mess. My desk is a disaster. So, yep, there you go. Another example of a poorly lit environment. This room actually is, there is no lights on. There is just window light coming through pink shades. So the pink really has an effect on the light in here, and it actually appears as though the iPhone 4S is handling the white balance fairly well. Okay, now let's see how the video camera handles macro. So I'm going to come down to one of these leaves down here, and there's the leaf, and now I'm going to tap on it, and pretty good focus. Focus on a leaf pretty good. Let's try something a little bit more difficult. Like a twig. Tap. Oh, didn't quite focus. Doesn't really like to focus on this twig. Maybe I don't think I'm too close. Let's back up a little. Yeah, it's not really focusing too well. Let's get even closer. Nope. 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 Didn't like that twig, so let's try something that's a little bit thicker than a twig, so it's a skinny stick, and let's see if the phone can handle that. Oh, doesn't really like it either. Very interesting. Nope. Let's choose something a little bigger here, and let's go ahead and try to focus on this really closely. And it doesn't even like that. There we go. The movement was freaking it out, but there we go. We've got a really nice focus on that right there. Okay, there we go. We have tested out the rear-facing HD 1080p video camera on the iPhone 4S. We tested out the video stabilization. We tested it both in something a little bit minor of me walking backwards, and then something more extreme of me running down the street. And the phone did pretty well. We also tested out low light situations, which was in my house. And it turned out to be a little bit grainy, but not too bad. And also horrible lighting that was also low light, where that was in my daughter's room, where we're looking at pink lighting, basically. And I was actually very impressed with how the iPhone 4S was able to adjust the white balance for it to not look very pink in there. And then we also tried out some macro. And the macro, the camera did okay. It could have done better. When I was trying to focus on the twigs, it couldn't really grab that that's what I was trying to focus on. So that was a little bit disappointing, but it still handled things like leaves and larger objects that I got really close to very well, and the focus was nice and sharp, and it handled that extremely well. So I hope this was at least a little interesting to you, and gave you some insight on how well the iPhone 4S camera works. I am Leanna with TiPb.com. Thank you.